The first sign something was wrong came during my morning meeting, sharp, twisting pain in my abdomen that made me grip the conference table until my knuckles went white. I tried to breathe through it like always. I'd gotten good at hiding pain. A lifetime of practice will do that to you. My name is Mara, and I've spent 31 years being told I'm just being dramatic. Are you okay? Sophie from accounting noticed first, because of course she did. She's one of those people who actually pays attention. You look really pale. I'm fine, I managed, but the room was starting to spin. My laptop screen blurred. Someone was talking about Q4 projections, but their voice seemed to come from underwater. The next thing I knew, I was on the floor and Sonia was kneeling beside me. My girlfriend works 3 floors up in HR, and somehow she always knows when I need her. She had her phone out, already calling 911. Don't, I whispered. My mother will kill me if I make a scene. Your mother can kiss my ass, Sonia said, her voice steady even as her hand trembled against my forehead. You're burning up, baby. This isn't normal. The paramedics arrived within minutes. Through the fog of pain, I heard Sonia calling my mother. Catherine, it's Sonia. Mara's being taken to Memorial Hospital. They think it might be her appendix. No, she can't call you later. She's in an ambulance. But what do you mean? Can it wait? She needs surgery. I wanted to tell Sonia not to bother, to save her breath. My brother Kyson had his big investor presentation today, the one he'd been talking about for months. Nothing could possibly be more important than that. The emergency room was a blur of faces and voices. Acute appendicitis, peritonitis, immediate surgery required. Someone asked about my emergency contacts. Sonia squeezed my hand as they wheeled me toward the OR. I called them again, she said softly, left another message. I woke up alone. Well, not completely alone. Sonia was there, sleeping in the world's most uncomfortable chair, her hand still holding mine. But no mother rushing in with worried questions. No father awkwardly patting my shoulder. No brother taking a break from his precious presentation to check if his sister was still alive. The nurses were kind, but I could see the concern in their eyes. No other visitors? They'd ask, checking my charts. One of them, Maria, finally sat down beside my bed on the second day. Honey, I need to ask you something, she said, holding a clipboard. Your emergency contact information. Would you like to make any changes? I looked at Sonia, who was awake now and watching me with those steady brown eyes that never judged, never pushed, just supported. Yes, I said, I would. It took 3 days for them to show up. I heard my mother's voice before I saw her, demanding updates from the nurses' station. Kyson's familiar laugh echoed down the hall, probably telling them about how well his presentation went. They burst into my room like they owned it. Mother in her designer blazer looking annoyed at the hospital smell. Kyson in his startup CEO casual wear, already talking about himself. The pitch went amazing, sis. You should have seen their faces when I showed them the projected growth charts. Mrs. Peters? Maria appeared in the doorway, her face professional but cool. I need to speak with you about your daughter's paperwork. Yes, yes, whatever it is, just tell me what's happening with Mara. Nobody's giving us any information. Maria handed her a form. I watched my mother's face change as she read it, from irritation to disbelief to something close to fear. This must be a mistake, she said, her voice smaller now. I'm her mother. I should be listed as her emergency contact. Not any more, I said, and my voice was steady, stronger than it had ever been in that house where I learned to make myself small. Sonia's my contact now, and my medical proxy. The papers are already filed. But we're family, Kyson said, like he was explaining something obvious to a child. I looked at him. really looked at him, maybe for the first time. My golden boy brother who never had to fight for attention or care or love. Are we? I asked quietly. Because family usually shows up before day 3? The silence that followed was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. Get out, I said. Not angry, not crying, just tired. Done. Both of you. Get out of my room. They left, but not before my mother turned back, her face a storm of hurt and indignation. We'll discuss this when you're thinking clearly, she said. But I was thinking clearly for the first time in my life, and I was just getting started. The memory hit me as I picked at my hospital breakfast. I was 7, standing in our backyard during Kaison's birthday party. Mother had spent weeks planning it. Bounce house, professional face painter, even a magician. I remember watching from the kitchen window as she arranged the presents on a special table, making sure each bow was perfect. Mara, she'd called, come help me set up the party favors. I'd rushed out, excited to be included, but when I reached for one of the gift bags, she'd snapped, not those. They're for the special guests. You can help by staying out of the way. Why don't you go inside and finish your homework? But it's Saturday, I'd said. Exactly, and you're behind in math again, aren't you? Now, 24 years later, I pushed away the rubbery hospital eggs as my mother swept into the room, Kyson trailing behind her like always. The food here is atrocious, she announced, wrinkling her nose at my tray. I brought you a smoothie, but the nurse said you can't have it yet. Something about clear liquids only. Ridiculous. The presentation was incredible. Kyson jumped in, pulling up a chair. We're talking serious investor interest, multiple term sheets. They loved my idea for blockchain integration. That's fascinating, I cut in, my voice flat. Almost as fascinating as internal organ failure. Mother's head snapped up. There's no need for that attitude, Mara. Your brother is sharing good news. My phone number has changed, I said instead of arguing. I'll text the new one to Dad later. Don't be ridiculous, Mother said. Just give it to me and I'll make sure everyone gets it. No. The word hung in the air between us, simple, final. What do you mean, no? Kyson asked, looking genuinely confused. I mean no. I'm 31 years old. I decide who gets my contact information. Mother's face did that thing it always did when she was about to launch into a guilt trip. After everything we've done for you, everything you've done for me? The laugh that escaped me didn't sound like my voice at all. Like ignoring my calls when I was being rushed to emergency surgery, like not showing up for 3 days because Kyson's presentation was more important. Now you're just being dramatic. Catherine, Sonia's voice came from the doorway. I hadn't even heard her come in. I think it's time for you to leave. Excuse me? Mother drew herself up to her full height. Who do you think you are? I'm the person who was here, Sonia said quietly. I'm the one who held her hand through surgery, who talked to her doctors, who made sure she wasn't alone. Where were you? This is a family matter. You're right, I said. It is, and I'm redefining what family means to me. My phone buzzed then, a message from work. I opened it, frowning as I read. Is everything okay? Sonia asked. No, I said slowly. HR says there's a problem with my insurance. Apparently my benefits paperwork was never submitted properly. That's impossible. I filled everything out months ago. Kyson shifted in his chair, suddenly very interested in his phone. Kyson, I said, you were helping with HR coordination during the merger last quarter, weren't you? He wouldn't meet my eyes. I had a lot on my plate then. Some things might have slipped through the cracks. The pieces clicked into place. You lost my paperwork or forgot to submit it. That's why nothing was covered. These things happen in startups, he said defensively. We were restructuring everything. These things happened? My voice rose. I could have died, Kyson, and now I'm looking at medical bills that could bankrupt me because you couldn't be bothered to do your job. Don't be so dramatic, Mother started, but I held up my hand. Get out, both of you, now. Mara, now! They left, Mother muttering about my unstable behavior and Kyson still trying to explain about startup culture. As soon as they were gone, I turned to Sonia. I need your help, I said. Something's not right here. This isn't just about lost paperwork or missed phone calls. She sat on the edge of my bed, taking my hand. What do you need? I need to look into some things, old accounts, family records. I squeezed her hand. I think it's time I found out exactly what else they've been hiding from me. Whatever you need, she said, I'm here. I nodded, my mind already racing. For years I'd tried to be the good daughter, the understanding sister, but lying in that hospital bed, watching my brother casually dismiss potentially ruining my life, something broke inside me, or maybe something finally clicked into place. The medical bills started arriving before I could even climb a flight of stairs without getting winded. Each envelope felt heavier than the last, and without insurance coverage, the numbers were staggering. My brother has done some selfish things, I told Sonia as we sat at our kitchen table, surrounded by paperwork. But this could destroy my entire life. Maybe not, she said, tapping her phone. My brother Andre is an accountant. He specializes in financial investigations. Would you be willing to meet with him? That's how I found myself sitting across from Andre 2 days later, watching his face darken as he reviewed my documents. Something's not adding up here, he said, scrolling through his laptop. These withdrawals from your accounts over the past few years, did you authorize these? I leaned forward. What withdrawals? There's a pattern of money being moved from your old joint accounts, starting around 2013? That would have been during your college years. The year everything fell apart. Show me. He turned the screen toward me. The numbers blurred together, but one date stood out. The semester I had to delay starting college because my parents said they couldn't help that year. That's my college fund, I whispered. They told me the market crashed and the money was gone. The money went somewhere, Andre said, typing rapidly. And here it is, transferred to a business account registered to Kyson Peters Enterprises. My hands started shaking. That was his first failed startup, the one before he even finished college. Mara? Sonia's voice was gentle. Maybe it's time to talk to your mother. I called her, asked her to meet me at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. She arrived wearing her armor of Chanel and disdain. Really, Mara? All this drama over some old accounts? I slid Andre's printouts across the table. Tell me about my college fund. What about it? The market. Don't! My voice was still. Don't lie to me again. The money went to Kyson's startup. I want to hear you say it. She sighed, like I was being unreasonable. Your brother had a brilliant opportunity. The timing wasn't ideal, but I had to wait 2 years to start college. I lost my scholarship. I had to work 3 jobs to make up the difference. And look how well you turned out. It built character. I stared at her, really seeing her for the first time. Did you ever love me at all? That got through her armor. She flinched. Of course I love you. You're my daughter, but Kyson always needed. I pulled out one more document. What about Grandpa's trust fund? Her face went blank, too blank. What trust fund? I remember seeing a letter when I was 17, something about funds being held in trust for both grandchildren, but I never saw anything about it again. You must be mistaken. Am I? Because I've been doing some digging, Mother, and I remember signing some papers when I was 18, right after I had mono when I could barely get out of bed. What exactly did I sign? She stood up abruptly, gathering her purse. I don't have to listen to these accusations. No, you don't. But the lawyers will have questions too, and they're much less forgiving than I am. Lawyers! Her voice cracked. You wouldn't. Try me. I stood up too, calmer than I'd ever been. I want the truth, all of it, or I start making phone calls. You ungrateful little... She caught herself, aware of the other customers watching. Fine, come by the house tomorrow. We'll discuss it. No, not the house. We meet at my lawyer's office. I'll text you the address. Your lawyer? My cousin Remy. You remember her, right? Aunt Ruby's daughter? The one you called troublesome because she went to law school instead of getting married? Mother's face went pale. You contacted Ruby? Family is important, isn't it? That's what you always said. I picked up my coffee cup, still full but long cold. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Don't be late. I walked out of the coffee shop, legs shaking but spine straight. Sonia was waiting in the car. How did it go? She'll come. She's terrified of scandal. I buckled my seatbelt, thinking of that trust fund letter I'd glimpsed so long ago. But there's something else, something bigger she's hiding. Are you ready for this? Sonia asked. Once you start digging... I've spent my whole life being buried, I said. It's time to do some digging of my own. My phone buzzed. A text from Remy. Found something in the old estate records. You need to see this. I showed Sonia the message. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. Tomorrow's going to be justice, she corrected. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Aunt Ruby hadn't changed much in the 15 years since I'd last seen her. Same wild red hair, same bright laugh that Mother always said was too loud for polite company. She hugged me tight in Remy's office lobby. Look at you, she said, holding me at arm's length, all grown up and finally fighting back. Better late than never, I said. Thank you for coming. Honey, I've been waiting years for someone to finally look into this mess. She gestured to Remy's office. Shall we? Remy had her father's dark complexion and her mother's fire. She spread documents across her desk, pointing to highlighted sections. Your grandfather was smarter than they gave him credit for, she said. He set up 2 separate trusts, one for each grandchild. Equal amounts, equal terms, no room for manipulation. Or at least that's how it was supposed to work. What happened? I asked. This? She pulled out a document dated just after my 18th birthday. A voluntary surrender of trust benefits signed by you, except I never signed this. I stared at the signature. It looked like mine, but something was off. I was sick that week. Mono. I could barely lift my head. Ruby leaned forward. Do you remember signing anything during that time? Mother brought me some papers, said they were insurance forms for college. The memory hit me like a punch. She stood over me while I signed, said it had to be done right away. Insurance forms. Remy's laugh was bitter, more like a complete surrender of your inheritance rights. And look who witnessed the signature. I looked at the bottom of the page. There it was. Kaison's neat signature as witness. He would have been 15. That's not legal, Sonia said from beside me. She was ill. They lied about what she was signing and a minor witnessed it. Oh, it gets better, Remy said. The trust was set to mature on your 30th birthday, which means it matured last year. The room seemed to spin. How much? Remy showed me another document. I saw the number and had to sit down. $2 million, I whispered, each. Which Kaison received in full, Remy confirmed, plus your portion since you'd voluntarily surrendered it. Total of $4 million. That's fraud, Sonia said, plain and simple. With a side of forgery, Ruby added. and the statute of limitations hasn't expired because the crime wasn't discovered until now. My phone buzz, a text from Mother. Running late. Can we reschedule? No, I typed back. Be here in 30 minutes or I go straight to the police. The response was immediate. On my way. We waited, reviewing more documents. The whole picture was emerging. Years of financial manipulation, all centered around Kyson, my college fund, my trust fund, even smaller accounts Grandpa had set up for my future. Mother arrived exactly 30 minutes later, her face composed until she saw Ruby. What is she doing here? Helping me understand some family history, I said. Sit down, Mother. I don't take orders from sit down. She sat. Remy laid out the documents one by one, the trust paperwork, the forged signature, the witness signature. Mother's face grew paler with each revelation. Would you like to explain? I asked quietly, or should we call the police? You don't understand, she started. Kyson needed $4 million? Ruby cut in. For what? Failed startups and blockchain schemes? He had potential. He just needed capital to. He needed? I stood up, my voice shaking. What about what I needed? An education, a future, a mother who didn't steal from me? I did it for the family. No, I leaned across the desk. You did it for Kyson, and now you're both going to pay for it. What do you want? She whispered. Everything, I said. The full amount of the trust, with interest, documentation of every account you've manipulated, and a signed confession of what you did. You can't be serious. Try me. I nodded to Remy, who pulled out a prepared document. Sign the confession now, arrange the repayment within 30 days, or face fraud charges. Your choice. Mother's hands trembled as she reached for the pen. This will destroy our family. You destroyed it years ago, I said. I'm just making it official. She signed. When she stood to leave, she looked older somehow, smaller. Mara, she said at the door, I did love you, in my way. Your way wasn't good enough. After she left, Ruby hugged me again. You did good, kid. But something felt off, like this victory was too easy, too clean. What is it? Sonia asked, reading my face. There's more, I said. This can't be everything. Mother gave in too quickly. Remy nodded slowly. Want me to keep digging? I thought about all the years of lies, of gaslighting, of being told I was imagining things. Dig, I said. Dig until there's nothing left to find. Darling, I'm so glad you're coming to dinner. Mother gushed over the phone, her voice dripping honey. It's been too long since we've had a proper family meal. 3 weeks had passed since she'd signed the confession. She thought throwing a dinner party would make everything normal again. That's how it always worked in her world. Sweep the ugliness under designer rug and pretend it never happened. Of course, I said, matching her sweetness. Should I bring anything? Just yourself, and perhaps leave Sonia at home, for old time's sake. I caught Remy's eye across her office desk. She was showing me what Andre had uncovered about Kyson's company finances. Actually, I'm bringing a +1, my new financial advisor. Mother's pause spoke volumes. I see. Well then, 7 o'clock. I hung up and turned back to Remy. Show me those numbers again. It's clever, I'll give them that, she said, pointing to a series of transactions. Kyson's company is being funded through a shell corporation that's drawing directly from your mother's retirement accounts she shares with your father. Does Dad know? Based on these signatures, not a chance. I sat back thinking. Mother always said Dad was bad with money. That's why she handled everything. She handled it all right, Remy said, right into Kyson's pockets. That evening I arrived at my parents' house with Remy beside me, playing the role of financial advisor perfectly in her crisp suit and sharp questions. Fascinating business model, she said to Kyson over appetizers. How are you managing cash flow in this market? Kyson launched into his usual startup jargon. Our investors see the long-term potential. Which investors are those? Remy asked innocently. I'd love to review their terms. Kyson's smile flickered. Mother jumped in quickly. More wine, anyone? Actually, Remy continued, I've been reviewing some interesting market patterns. Companies drawing from private pension funds through shell corporations. Quite illegal, of course. The sound of Mother's wine glass shattering on the floor made everyone jump. Catherine? Dad looked concerned. Are you all right? Fine, fine, Mother said quickly. Just clumsy. Kyson, darling, tell us more about your presentation last month. But Kyson had lost his swagger. He kept glancing at his phone, sweat beading on his forehead. Speaking of presentations, I said casually, Dad, how's your retirement planning going? Mother mentioned you were thinking of early retirement. Did she? Dad frowned. News to me. Catherine handles all that. All of it. Remy raised an eyebrow. The withdrawals, the transfers, everything? What withdrawals? Mother stood abruptly. Perhaps we should serve dinner. Actually, I cut in, I had Andre. You remember Sonia's brother, the accountant? Look into something interesting. I pulled out my phone, pulled up the documents he'd prepared. Dad, you might want to see this. His face went gray as he read. Catherine, what is this? Why is our retirement account being drained into what's Golden Future Holdings? It's not what you think, Mother started. It's exactly what you think, I said. Golden Future Holdings is Kyson's company's parent corporation. Mother's been funding his failures with your retirement money. The silence that followed was deafening. How much? Dad's voice was barely a whisper. Nearly 800,000, Remy supplied. So far. Dad stood up slowly, his hands shaking. I need to call my lawyer. Daddy, please, Kyson tried. It's just temporary, once we get our next round of funding. There is no next round, I said. Is there, Kyson? Because no real investors will touch your company. That's why you needed Mother's money. You're just jealous, he spat. You've always been jealous of my success. What success? Dad roared, making us all jump. Stealing your sister's inheritance wasn't enough? You had to take our retirement too? Mother was crying now, but her tears didn't move me any more. I'd seen too many of her performances. I did it for him, she sobbed, for his future. And what about my future? Dad asked. Our future? He walked out of the dining room. We heard the study door slam. You've ruined everything, Mother hissed at me. No, I said, standing up. You did that all on your own. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Kyson, you might want to lawyer up. The SEC tends to frown on fraud. His face went white. The SEC? Anonymous tip, I said. Funny how those work. Remy and I walked out, leaving them with their cold dinner and colder reality. In the car, she turned to me. That was just phase 1, she said. Ready for phase 2? I thought about the years of lies, the stolen money, the broken trust. Ready, I said. Let's burn it all down. The dominoes started falling faster than even I expected. Dad filed for legal separation 3 days after the dinner party. Mother's carefully curated social media went silent. Kyson stopped answering his phone. Your father's lawyer called, Remy told me one morning. He wants copies of everything we found. I was about to respond when my phone buzzed, a news alert about Kyson's company. I clicked it and started laughing. What? Sonia asked, looking over my shoulder. Rising Tech Star faces federal investigation, I read aloud. Questions arise about funding sources and intellectual property claims. The article detailed how federal agents had interrupted Kyson's big investor presentation, asking pointed questions about his company's finances and technology patents. Apparently, someone had provided evidence that his revolutionary blockchain platform was largely plagiarized from open source projects. My phone rang. Mother. How could you? She screamed before I could speak. They're saying Kaison could face criminal charges? Fascinating, I said calmly. Almost as fascinating as forged trust fund documents. He's your brother, and I was your daughter. Funny how that didn't matter when you were stealing from me. Later that day, I got another call, this time from the organizer of Mother's beloved charity gala, the one she'd chaired for 15 years. Mara, this is Patricia from the Children's Hospital Foundation. I I feel awkward asking this, but given the news about your family's financial irregularities, would you happen to know anything about the foundation's investment account? I smiled. Send me the records. I'll have my team look into it. By evening, Mother had been quietly asked to step down from the foundation's board. Her carefully constructed social kingdom was crumbling, but I saved the best for last. Are you sure about this? Remy asked as we reviewed the property documents. Once you do this, there's no going back. Do it, I said. The property in question was a historic building downtown, part of our family's inheritance split between Mother and me. She'd blocked my access to it for years, claiming some legal technicality, but Remy had found the loophole. Mother's blocking maneuver had never been properly filed. I sold my portion to an arts nonprofit that planned to turn it into a community center. The news made the local paper, complete with Mother's name and her history of trying to prevent community access to the building. Your phone's ringing again, Sonia said that evening. I checked the caller ID. Mother, again. You should answer it this time, Remy suggested. I have a feeling this call will be different. I put it on speaker. Mara? Mother's voice was shaking. Please, I need your help. With what? The IRS. They're asking questions about everything. The foundation accounts, the property dealings, Kyson's company. That sounds serious. Please, she whispered, I'm your mother. I let the silence stretch, let her feel what I'd felt all those years, the uncertainty, the powerlessness. Come to Remy's office tomorrow, I said finally. Bring every document you have, every account record, every transaction. And Mother? Yes? Be prepared to tell the truth, all of it, no more lies. I understand. After I hung up, Sonia wrapped her arms around me. Are you okay? Better than okay, I said. For the first time in my life, I'm winning. My phone buzzed with a text from Kyson. They're freezing our accounts, all of them. What did you do? I didn't respond. Let him sweat. Another text came through, this one from Dad. The lawyer found more accounts, hidden ones. Did you know about these? Send them to Remy, I replied. Sonia watched me put the phone down. You're not going to check what they found? Tomorrow, I said. Let them all stew tonight. Let them feel what it's like to be powerless, to have their lives controlled by someone else. Karma's a bitch, Remy said, gathering her files. No, I corrected her. I'm the bitch. Karma's just my backup dancer. We laughed, but it was cut short by breaking news on TV. Kyson being let out of his office in handcuffs, his startup dreams dissolving in federal fraud charges. Mother would be seeing that footage soon. She'd be calling again, crying, begging. But tomorrow in Remy's office she'd face a choice. Confess everything in writing, or watch her carefully constructed world burn completely to the ground. You know what the best revenge is? I asked Sonia as we watched the news footage. What's that? Making them destroy themselves. All I had to do was shine a light on what they'd been doing all along. The truth, it turns out, was the sharpest weapon of all. Mother arrived at Remy's office looking like a ghost of herself. No designer suit today, just a plain black dress and smudged mascara. She clutched her purse like a shield. 1 hour, I said, checking my watch. Tell us everything. She sat down heavily. Where should I start? The trust fund, Remy said, recording device ready. Walk us through it. It was Kyson's idea, Mother began, then stopped at my sharp laugh. No, really. He found the paperwork when he was 15, said if we could redirect the funds, he could make us all rich. He was 15, I said flatly. And you listened to him? He was special, gifted. Everyone said so. So you forged my signature. She flinched. You were sick. We knew you wouldn't understand the opportunity. The opportunity to steal $2 million from me? It wasn't stealing. It was reallocating for the family's benefit. Remy cleared her throat. And the retirement accounts? Mother's face crumpled. Kyson's company was failing. He needed capital. He promised he'd pay it back double once the company took off. And the foundation money? Silence. Mother? Small amounts, she whispered, just to cover shortfalls. I was going to replace it. The confession went on. Years of manipulation, fraud, and theft, all laid bare in Remy's sterile office. When she finished, Mother looked ancient. Sign here, Remy said, pushing forward a document. Full confession, legally witnessed. Mother's hand shook as she signed. What happens now? Now? I stood up. Now you get to watch it all fall apart. As if on cue, my phone rang. It was Dad's lawyer. Mara, your father's had a stroke. He's at Memorial Hospital. The world tilted. What? The doctors say it was stress-induced. He's stable, but... I hung up and turned to Mother. Dad's in the hospital. Stroke. She went even paler. Harold? But he's always been so healthy. Except for the stress of discovering his wife and son stole his retirement, destroyed his credit, and ruined his reputation. She grabbed her purse. I need to go to him. No! My voice could have frozen fire. You don't get to play concerned wife anymore. You did this to him. He's my husband, and I was your daughter. Kyson was your son. We were all supposed to be family, but you turned us into your personal piggy bank. She ran out crying. I didn't stop her. Do you want to go to the hospital? Sonia asked gently. I nodded, numb. Dad looked small in the hospital bed, the same hospital where this all started, where Mother and Kyson couldn't be bothered to visit me. Mara, his voice was weak. I'm here, Dad. Did you know? He asked. All these years, did you know what they were doing? No, I said. I just knew something was wrong. He closed his eyes. I should have protected you. You didn't know either. I didn't want to know, he corrected. It was easier to let your mother handle everything, to believe Kyson was the genius she said he was. A nurse came in to check his vitals. On the TV mounted in the corner, news was breaking about Kyson's arrest. Multiple charges, fraud, embezzlement, intellectual property theft. They're saying 5 to 10 years, Dad said, watching the screen. My son could go to prison for a decade. The news switched to footage of Mother leaving the courthouse. The reporter's voice was merciless. Catherine Peters, implicated in multiple financial fraud schemes, declined to comment on her role in her son's alleged crimes. Dad muted the TV. Your mother called, said you forced her to confess. I gave her a choice. She chose to tell the truth for once. He was quiet for a long moment. Are you happy now that it's all burned down? The question hit me like a punch. Was I happy? My brother was facing prison. My mother was disgraced. My father was in the hospital. The family was destroyed, but wasn't it destroyed already? Hadn't it been broken all along? Sonia squeezed my hand. You got justice, she said softly. Maybe that's enough. Justice, Dad repeated. Is that what this is? I looked at him, really looked at him. My passive father who never stood up for me, never questioned Mother's decisions, never saw what was happening under his own roof. No, I said finally. This isn't justice. This is karma, and karma's not finished yet. His heart monitor beeped steadily in the silence that followed. The morning of Kai-san's sentencing, I stood in my new kitchen, watching the sunrise through windows I'd chosen myself. The house Sonia and I had bought, the one I'd dreamed of since I was a little girl, stacking blocks by my bedroom window, imagining a future where I had control. You don't have to go, Sonia said, sliding a cup of coffee across the counter. Yes, I do. The courthouse was packed. Mother sat in the front row, a black veil covering her face like she was at a funeral. In a way, she was, the death of her golden child's future. Kai-san looked small in his suit, nothing like the swaggering CEO he'd pretended to be. When the judge asked if he had anything to say, he turned to face the courtroom. I'm sorry, he said, his voice breaking. I thought I was special. Everyone always told me I was special. 7 years. That's what the judge gave him. Mother's sob echoed through the courtroom. Outside, reporters swarmed us. Mother grabbed my arm. Please, she begged, say something. Tell them it's not as bad as it looks. I gently removed her hand. It's exactly as bad as it looks. You raised him to believe he deserved everything. Now he has nothing. Where am I supposed to go? She whispered. Everyone knows. No one will take me in. Aunt Ruby offered you her spare room. Mother's face twisted. Ruby? The sister you ostracized? The one you called unstable because she saw through you? Yes, that sister. I straightened my jacket. Maybe it's time you learned what real family looks like. I left her there on the courthouse steps, her black veil blowing in the wind. Dad was waiting at my new house when I got home. He looked better, still tired but stronger. Nice place, he said, looking around. Your mother would hate it. That's partly why I chose it. He smiled, a real smile, maybe the first I'd seen in years. I signed the divorce papers this morning. How does it feel? Like waking up. He ran a hand over the kitchen counter. I've been thinking about what you said in the hospital, about karma not being finished. And I think, he took a deep breath, I think I owe you an apology, not just for what they did, but for what I didn't do, for not protecting you, for not seeing. You didn't want to see. No, I didn't. It was easier to be passive, to let your mother handle everything. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. That's why I want you to have this. Inside was a check, a big one. Dad! It's not everything they took from you, he said quickly, but it's what I can sell the house for, plus my savings. It's a start. I don't need your money. I know, but I need to give it. Not to fix the past. Nothing can do that. But to show you I finally see you. The doorbell rang. It was Aunt Ruby and Remy carrying takeout and wine. Hope you don't mind, Ruby said, breezing past me. But I thought we could use a family dinner, a real one this time. We gathered around my new dining table, Dad, Ruby, Remy, Sonia, me. No pretense, no performance, no power plays. Just people who chose to be there. How's Catherine settling in? Remy asked Ruby. She cried for 2 days straight, Ruby said, passing the bread. But this morning she made her own coffee instead of waiting for someone to serve her. Baby steps. And Kai-san, Dad asked quietly. We'll have 7 years to think about what special really means, I said. Sonia raised her glass. To karma. To truth, Ruby added. To choices, Dad said. I looked around the table at my chosen family, in my chosen home, living my chosen life. The little girl stacking blocks by the window would never have imagined this ending, but maybe that's because it wasn't an ending at all. To new beginnings, I said, raising my glass. Later, after everyone left, I stood at my kitchen window again, the same window where I'd watched the sunrise that morning, before Kyson's sentencing, before Mother's exile, before Dad's apology. You okay? Sonia asked, wrapping her arms around me from behind. I used to think revenge would be loud, I said. All dramatic confrontations and courtroom showdowns. But sometimes, I turned in her arms, facing the home we'd built together. Sometimes revenge is just living well and letting them watch from a distance. Is that what this is? Living well? I kissed her softly. No, this is better. This is living free. Outside, the sun set on my old life, and I didn't look back.